Your phone buzzes 96 times a day on average. Your brain wasn't built for this. There are more choices on Netflix than a human can watch in 100 lifetimes. And somehow, you feel like you're wasting yours. Anxiety is at an all-time high. Burnout is the default setting, and everyone's talking about productivity hacks, but nobody's talking about why we feel so out of control. Here's the strange thing. 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers figured this out. All of it. They called it Stoicism, and it might be the most useful idea you've never seriously tried. Stoicism isn't about being cold or emotionless. That's the most common wrong idea about it. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about not being controlled by everything. That started in ancient Greece and Rome. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, Epictetus, who started life as a slave, and Seneca, one of the most powerful men in Rome. These weren't just theorists. They were people under massive pressure, running empires, surviving persecution, navigating power. And they wrote down exactly how they stayed sane. In this video, we're going to take their core ideas and run them through the machinery of modern life. Social media, stress, success, failure, relationships, work. Not as history, as a toolkit. Practical, immediate, and surprisingly radical. Let's start with the one idea that changes everything. Here's the question Stoicism asks first: is this thing inside your control or outside it? That's it. That's the filter everything else runs through. You cannot control whether your flight gets delayed. You cannot control whether your boss is in a bad mood. You cannot control the economy, the weather, or what people think of you. What you can control, how you respond, what you focus on, what you choose to do with the next 5 minutes. This sounds obvious, but think about how much of your mental energy goes to things you have zero power over. The news, other people's opinions, results you can't guarantee. Epictetus, who was literally enslaved, said this: "Men are disturbed not by the things that happen, but by the opinions about the things." Your mind creates most of your suffering, not the events. A modern example. You send an email and don't get a reply. You spend 2 hours imagining what it means. Was it offensive? Did they lose respect for you? All of that invented. All of it outside your control. The Stoic move. Put your energy where it actually belongs. Did you write a clear email? Did you follow up once? That's your part. The rest is not your job. This is also why Stoics weren't passive. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire under constant military threat and plague. He wasn't detached. He was intensely focused on what he could actually do. Here's a practice that sounds absolutely backwards at first. The Stoics recommended spending time every day imagining that you've lost the things you value most. Your relationship, your job, your health, your home. What if it was taken away tomorrow? That feels dark, but the effect is the opposite of what you'd expect. When you actually sit with the possibility of loss, the thing you have becomes vivid, real, worth something. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds, as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance slice books each day. Not morbid, honest. Modern psychology calls a version of this gratitude practice. A Stoic negative visualization is sharper. It's not just, I'm grateful for my coffee. It's one day this coffee won't exist, this morning won't exist. What am I doing with it? There's another layer too. When you've mentally rehearsed the worst outcome, it stops having power over you. You've already been there. The fear of losing something becomes smaller than the fear used to be. This is why surgeons rehearse complications, why pilots train for engine failure, why chess players study losing positions. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, not pessimism, preparation. Modern culture has one core promise: get the money, the status, the body, the followers, and then you'll be okay. You'll be enough. You'll be happy. The Stoics had a word for all of that. They called it preferred indifference. Things that are fine to have, but not things that determine your worth or your peace. What actually matters, according to every major Stoic thinker? One thing: virtue, your character, how you act when it's hard, whether you're honest, whether you're brave, whether you're just. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful men on earth. He could have anything. What did he write in his private journal, the one he never meant anyone to read? Constant self-examination. Am I being good? Am I being honest? Am I living up to what I believe? Here's why this matters in 2025. Social media has created a world where the performance of virtue matters more than virtue itself. You can post about kindness while treating people badly. The Stoics would have found this not just wrong, but self-defeating. Because the Stoic insight is this: you always know. You cannot actually fool yourself, even when you fool everyone else. The internal record doesn't lie. And that internal record is the only one that determines how you feel about your life. This is a hard sell in an attention economy. But think about the people you actually respect most, not envy, not follow online, but genuinely respect. Is it their metrics, or the way they act when things are difficult? There's a Stoic concept that Nietzsche later made famous: Amor Fati, love of fate. Not just accepting what happens to you, but actually loving it. All of it. This sounds like naive optimism, but it's not. It's not everything happens for a reason. It's harder than that. It's saying, this happened, it cannot unhappen. So the only question is, what do I do with it? Epictetus was enslaved, then freed, then built one of the most influential philosophical schools in history. He didn't deny what happened to him. He didn't pretend it was fine. He made something out of the reality he was given. Modern version: you lose a job. You end a relationship. You make a choice that goes badly. Amor Fati says, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are here with exactly this material. Right now, what are you going to build? This is the most anti-victim philosophy ever written. Not because it denies suffering, but because it refuses to give suffering the final word. Marcus Aurelius lost children, fought endless wars, dealt with betrayal inside his own family. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." You've heard this idea before. Ryan Holiday wrote a bestseller about it, but it comes from here, from a man who had every reason to collapse and chose differently every single day. So let's land this. 3 ideas from 2,000 years ago that are more relevant now than they've ever been. 1. Most of what you worry about is outside your control. You don't fix that by trying harder to control it. You fix it by redirecting your energy to where it actually matters: your response, your choices, your character. 2. The things you have will not always be there. Not your people, not your health, not this moment. Sit with that, not to be sad, but to be awake. 3. What you're worth is not your follower count, your salary, your body, or your reputation. It's what you actually do when it's difficult, when no one's watching, when it costs you something. The Stoics didn't promise this was easy. Marcus Aurelius wrote the same lessons to himself over and over because he needed reminding every day. So do we. Here's what I want you to take from this. Stoicism isn't a retreat from life. It's a return to the only part of life you actually own: your mind, your values, and your next action. Not the outcomes, not the audience, not the algorithm, not the noise. Just this. Who are you being right now? And is it who you decided to be? 2,000 years ago, an emperor who had everything wrote himself private notes about how to be a better person. Not for his legacy, not for the history books, just to remind himself every morning what actually mattered.